Hello, everybody, and welcome. In this episode, you'll discover 4 ways to get speed on the recovery.
Oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Welcome.
And the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Well, hello, everybody, and
the
let's
handle,
talk
smooth
now
yet
about
firm in your
ways
hands.
to get more speed on the recovery. It's not an easy thing to do. This is something that many rowers take a long time to realize, that the net boat speed is comprised of 2 things: the power you put in and the amount the boat slows down when your oars are out of the water. It's about 50% of the time of one single stroke. Depends slightly on your rating, might be 60, 70% if you're rowing at a very low rate. But either way, everybody knows that your boat speeds up and then it slows down. It's one of the reasons why, if you ever want a funny moment, go onto YouTube and look for videos of rowing 8 towing somebody on a board, on a wakeboard, on a ski, a water ski. Because it's really hard for the skier to remain up and out of the water, because rowing boats surge. They get faster, then they slow, then they get faster, then they slow. You can see that if you watch any rowing race that's videoed from the side. You can see the bows push forwards and then they slow down. And often the bows lift up and then drop down into the water as well. Particularly very strong crews, you can see that. So ways to get speed on the recovery are all about how much you slow the boat down, or obviously the converse, don't slow the boat down. Let's start with the really straightforward stuff. Simplicity is key to the recovery. Keeping things sequential and well organized. You've already done the work. The boat speed is high at the moment that you take the oar out of the water. And that's great, but it isn't your maximum boat speed. Your maximum boat speed comes after the extraction, and as you transition your weight, your body mass, from leaning backwards towards the bow. In America, they often talk about it, getting your hands to lead out of bow. And what they mean by that is, as the oars come out of the water, your shoulders are usually behind your hips because you've leant back during the power phase, and you have to then straighten your arms, and after your arms are straight, then your shoulders start to rock forwards, and your body mass then shifts from being towards the bow to being towards the stern. And you get to a really important point in the recovery, which is the weight on the feet. As your body mass, as your arms lead you away, that is the moment I think it's when your arms transition to your body, is the moment where the boat speed has a little extra acceleration burst that only comes to you if you sequence that recovery, if you sequence it correctly, and if you sequence it smoothly. So back to our simplicity key. There are 4 key focus points that help you to keep the recovery simple and well organized. The first thing is to keep your slide and your seat wheels rolling. Keep them moving through towards full compression. Your seat will naturally stop at the point at which you can't compress anymore. So that seat sliding movement has to start and has to happen as uninterrupted as possible, which leads us to the second focus point. You need two things: poise and relaxation. So poise is keeping your body, I was going to use the word erect, but lifted and in a fixed shape so that your back is straight, so that your arms are leading, so that you're sitting high on the rowing seat, preferably, I think, on the front of the seat. You do not want to be sat like a sack of potatoes, sort of slumped and down with your mass kind of down. You want to feel like you're lifted up. If you had a string off your breastbone, kind of lifting upwards, that poise feeling is kind of feeling that you're sitting high and sitting tall. And the relaxation is key. In any athletic endeavor, the thing that probably exhausts you fastest is when your muscles get tired. And your muscles get tired when they aren't getting enough rest. And the lovely thing about a rowing stroke, and we all know this when we are on the rowing machine, particularly in a gym, rowing alongside somebody who's not a trained rower, on water rower, is that the less trained people tend to row with a 1-to-1 ratio. They race up the slide, they power through the recovery. They don't give themselves relaxation, particularly in the muscles, but also in your blooming lungs. Let's face it, let's get more air in. We know we need the air in order to fuel our oxygen flow into our muscles. So the more time and relaxation we can give our muscles on the recovery, the more we can activate them on the power phase. So if you've ever wondered why the fast rowers go really fast, one of the reasons is the fact that they can give their muscles more rest in between strokes. And that is, in my view, particularly the muscles in your legs. So you come off the finish, as your knees break and you start the rolling part up the slide, that's when the muscles in your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your calves need to be given a significant break from activity. Give them a rest. It's like balling your hand into a fist and then letting it go limp. And I've talked about this before, but watching a marathon runner I saw in the Amsterdam Marathon, I noticed how their trailing leg, the leg that is not reaching forward to place onto the ground, their trailing leg was so loose, like that ankle hung down. Their shoe was just limp on the bottom of their leg until they were ready, of course, to place it onto the ground, at which point it activated. And that's exactly what we want to do in our poise and relaxation. So that third point is how to activate and release your muscles. And you likely need to learn how to do that, because when we learn to row, often we are 2/10. And that is a really major challenge for giving us enough rest that we can then work hard. And one of the interesting things I learned recently is that weight training in a gym, strength and conditioning, can really help you to learn how to do tension in your muscles followed by relaxation in your muscles. And do go talk to someone who's experienced in strength training if you're interested in learning more how to do that. The fourth focus point is about the top of the slide. It's about, as you're approaching full compression, your slide wheels are just coming to the point where they will stop momentarily and then reverse direction. Don't chicken out. You've got to continue sliding forwards toward the stern until your blades are under the water. A lot of masters really don't appreciate this and often have concerns about the tippiness of the boat, or feeling that you'll fall in, or you feel vulnerable when you're at that full slide point. If you have poise and relaxation, you shouldn't have any major issues with the boat balance at that point. But, and of course, there's often a but, you need to have your oars prepared and ready to place into the water long before you get to the point where your slide changes direction. So let's move on to 6 common errors that will help you overcome some of the challenges and enable you to deliver on those focus points. One of the most important ones is you need to have weight in your hands. Doesn't matter if you're sweep or sculling. With sweep, it's in your outside hand. With sculling, it's in both of your hands. You cannot push down on the oar handle if your elbows are below your wrists. It's just not possible. Similarly, the most efficient way to get weight into your hand is to have a straight line from your knuckle to your wrist to your elbow, and obviously to your shoulder once your arms are straight. So if you are rigged too high, you cannot do this. That flat wrist feathering into your fingers, squaring in sweep with your inside hand, leaving the wrist on your outside hand flat, enables you to have weight in your hand. Weight in the hand allows you to control the oar, the mass of the oar, how high it is above the water, and it also allows you to control the set, the balance of the boat. And if you don't have that control, of course, you're going to feel vulnerable. So you need weight in the hand. Try not to feather with bent wrists and sculling. Try to feather and sweep with only your inside hand having a bent wrist. When you square your blade on the recovery, this can really mess with the rhythm that you set. And the rhythm is part of how to make that consistent over and over every stroke, the same feeling in a rowing boat. If your squaring is late, if your squaring is a large movement that is also simultaneous with movements in the rest of your body. So for example, if you're squaring and straightening your arms at the same time, if you're squaring and leaning your body forward at the same time, if you're squaring and using the muscles in your legs to pull yourself up the slide at the same time, that's several things happen simultaneously. And that's what really disrupts your rhythm. Remember my first point, simplicity is key. This is why sequencing the movements and the recovery is so important, because it allows you to separate the one from the other. And it also enables you to have all of the arms straight, body forward, beginning to bend and release your knees stuff done before you get to the squaring part, which of course is also an important part of the recovery. It's key to know when to release your knees. This timing point is absolutely critical to knowing when to relax the muscles, as I mentioned earlier, as a focus point. And you will get this right when you know what the feeling of both weight in the hand is and the feeling of total relaxation in your leg muscles are. You do not need to get your body fully over into the catch position until about quarter slide, but you do need to be on your way to getting it forward, getting your shoulders forwards of your hips. And the last common error is the lack of relaxation. So knowing how to increase your relaxation will help you to then improve some of the other parts of the focus points that I mentioned earlier. Things that you can try, you can do things like rowing and trying to increase your relaxation, maybe by 1%. Just try it for 10 strokes. See what happens to the run, to the flow, to the rhythm, to the ratio, and how your recovery feels. If you have a speed measurement device in your boat, you may also see a change in the boat speed, your 500-meter split or your meters per second. If you are watching that, by the way, know that those numbers in general, the default setting on a speed meter is to average over 3 strokes. So you won't see it immediately. You have to wait until you've done a few strokes before you see any change. And of course, being able to hold on to that change is also critical to having an improvement in average boat speed. So let's get you on to speed on the recovery. And I also want to end today with a tiny little advance notice. We're going to have a Black Friday sale. It's about our webinars. It only applies to the webinar products that we've got on our website. The coupon code is BF2024, and it starts now and runs through to midnight on Sunday, the 1st of December. Have a look, go to our webinars page and snag yourself a bargain. Till next time, I really appreciate every listener that we have on this podcast, and we're going to be looking forward to seeing you this week too.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.